If you haven't deliberately mapped out your perfect fit client's value essential roadmap, then best case scenario, you're leaving money on the table. Money that your clients would love to have spent with you. Worst case scenario, well, you're not supporting your community in the way that you should, and you risk losing the hearts and minds of loyal followers who, may look elsewhere to have their needs met. Your Value Ascension Roadmap is your plan to take your perfect fit clients all the way from their first encounter with you, whatever level of knowledge and experience that they have, to loyal followers who really achieve the ultimate transformation which you can provide. The Value Ascension Roadmap looks at value in two ways. So first of all, we have the value to the perfect fit client. So the further along the roadmap they travel, the greater the value you provide to them. So this is normally delivered by means of increased touch points, live interaction, your content, and maybe smaller groups. So maybe from large group coaching into smaller group coaching into mastermind. The Value Ascension Roadmap also looks at value from your perspective. So it illustrates the increase in value to your business as the amount paid by the client to you progresses the further down the roadmap that they go. Now, don't worry, I'll map all of this out on the whiteboard in a minute, but for now, just visualize it as the plan that you have for a perfect fit client to achieve the ultimate transformation that you can provide, and the milestones that they're going to hit along the way. Hey, what's up? Mihal here, and thanks for joining me. Listen, if you like this content or you feel a friend or colleague could benefit from it, or indeed any of my other videos, please like, subscribe and share. Look, the bigger this community gets, the more time I can invest in creating and sharing this free content. So make sure ring the bell, like the page, follow my profile, so be sure you're notified the next time that I put out a video. Okay, so what if you choose to ignore this? Well, certainly that is an option, and one of that many people unknowingly fall into. But trust me, with the ever increasing costs of client acquisition, you have to have a business model in place that caters for the attraction of front-end clients at low to no profit, and then a systematic model to convert these clients and graduate them up your value model. Without a Value Ascension Roadmap, you're at the mercy of fluctuations in client acquisition costs, mass erosion of profits, and when all your eggs are in one single basket, that's a risky place to be. You also risk having a revolving door of clients come to you, but because you don't have a next step for them to take, for them to ascend, they leave. And we all know it costs 5 times more to acquire a new client than it does to sell something to an existing client. So, when you have a logical, sequential and useful Value Essential Roadmap that genuinely maps out a perfect fit client's journey to the ultimate transformation that you provide, think of it, a step-by-step process, that makes your sales process so easy. And instead of an uphill battle for you and your client, it's like a fun water slide that's easy, it's convenient, and once somebody is on it, they don't want to get off. Your perfect fit clients need direction. They need support on lots of different levels. And they will thank you for mapping this out in advance and to thinking and putting the effort into creating it. Well, you're going to get rewarded with this with even higher levels of profitability and revenue. So, really where this became evident to me was I had a good friend. They had a really good online course. And it got massive results for the people who took it. They had built, kind of good revenue stream. The business had built, they built their team. Things were going really well. They had their launch dialed in, and their lives and their business really looked rosy. So the kind of model they had, fairly standard. They had a big launch maybe twice a year, maybe 2 then mini promotions during the year. Your standard info product business model. But then disaster struck. A big launch flopped. Now, it wasn't really their fault. They did the same as pretty much they always did. But there were a couple of other big promotions in the industry at the same time, and there were some social and political issues that caused a lot of uncertainty in their market. And next thing things were not looking so rosy. Financially, it was tight. They had team wages to cover, and they'd become, accustomed to a certain level of business and personal expenditure because they believed the income stream from their product would only ever go in one way, up. So they did what anybody would do in that case. They scrambled hard, and they brought forward one of their mini launches, but unfortunately that stuttered too. Now they were in real trouble. So they couldn't go back to the market a third time with the same product in a short space of time. They were running out of cash fast. So they decided to diversify. And they brought out this little mini product. It was more a punt. They were desperate. So they brought out this little mini product because they felt, well, look at, many people, maybe they just weren't ready to jump to their full-on big product. And bingo, it worked. They enrolled a whole batch of new clients. They'd stabilized their cash flow, and things started to look up. But then they went, hold on, right? So if people needed this little mini step, well, maybe the people who've already gone through the course, maybe they need something else. So they looked at the last couple of batches of people to go through their main course, and they realized that there was still a lot to learn, and specifically still a lot to implement. So there were needs that they were not serving. So they decided to launch a membership. And this turned out to be a massive launch. And their clients were so appreciative of the opportunity to further their journey and to learn more. And by the time they got around to their next big launch, they had an entire army, of clients from the smaller product waiting for the opportunity to step up to the next level. Taking this approach revolutionized their business. But it was nearly a very, very different story. And far too often, I see people in the information product and the membership arena put all their eggs in one basket. And trust me, it's not just about your revenue. This is also about serving your clients better by always having that next step for them to step up for. And I just don't want you to make the same mistake. So let's dig into the Value Ascension Roadmap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over here to the iPad, and I'm going to map it out for you. Now, obviously, all businesses are going to be different, and some people listening here might have a product. Some people might have a membership as their main vehicle. None of that matters. What we're going to look at here, I'm going to say certain things, but you think about it in context of your own business. So let's jump in. Okay, so if we want to start off thinking about our roadmap, we can look at it in this way. So everybody is at a starting point. Now, one of the things that I think is that all businesses and all information products probably have about 5 to 7 topics that they talk about, or that consist of the main topics that they talk about on a regular basis. So if we look at our Value Ascension Roadmap, we can start off here at the bottom. At the bottom, it's very, very wide. And you're probably going to have somewhere in the region of 5 to 7 topics that we start off with on our lower level. Now, I will talk about this a little more when we come to looking at the implementation of the value roadmap and how you can really roll it out and make it, make it truly, truly valuable. But if we say that at the beginning we have, level 1. So at level 1, we have our free content. So this could be our blog, this could be our YouTube channel, this could be anywhere where we share content. But we're essentially going to have topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, topic 4, topic 5, and topic 6. So let's say if we have 6 topics, now you could end up with 5, you could end up with 4. And what does that mean? It's how things break down. So if you look at my business, some of the things that I in terms of the topics and the core ways that I help people. So obviously Facebook ads, that would be one major one. Then you have launches. Launches, number 2. Another area that I like to touch on a lot is mindset. So that's, helping online entrepreneurs to grow and to move forward. So, there's 3. Then I'd also have, within the launches, within the general marketing. So another thing I'm going to be talking about is, how to engage, so offers, how to make really, really strong offers. So there's another topic. So you can see you have, you can have multiple topics that you talk about, core topics that you talk. For each one of those core topics, you're going to create almost like content pods. So this is where, and this also maps into my, content proliferation process and how I go about helping people to simplify their content creation methodology. But if we have this on level 1, level 2 is going to be lead magnets. So let's say we'll have lead magnet 1. So for each area of your business, you want to have a free lead magnet. So think about this from the Value Ascension Roadmap perspective. So at level 1, we're telling people, giving people information. At level 2, we're now asking for something, but we're asking for an email address. But in asking for that, we're also giving a higher level of value. So this is more value. These could be guides, checklists, all your standard kind of lead magnet areas. One of the reasons why I like doing this is because every piece of content that you create on level 1, if it's in a pod and you have a topic, you have a lead magnet associated with that topic. Now, every time you talk and every piece of content that you publish in that topic, you will also be able to provide some additional value to people and an option to opt in. Now, with your Value Ascension Roadmap, the next level that you're going to look at, this might not say, and one of the ways that I like to describe the Value Ascension Roadmap is almost like a highway. So if you think about, a 5-6 lane highway, everybody jumps on the highway at the start of their journey and they travel along. And, people are going to jump between different lanes. But eventually they kind of get to a point where you're starting to narrow down. So you might have, even though, kind of say we have 2 lead magnets, might not necessarily have 6 products. You could have 3 mini front-end products. So let's say if this is level 3, so we'll just jump into the iPad again. So let's say if we jump to level 3 here, these are going to be your mini front-end products. Now, one of the reasons that I love to have mini front-end products, so we're talking in here something that's going to be in or around 47, maybe a 97 product, or you could even have a lower, something like $27 product. As the costs of acquisition increase, Facebook used to be wonderful. You'd put in €1, you'd get €5 back. That doesn't really work out anymore. And what you need in your business is you really need some lower level products that you can put out on Evergreen so that you can generate consistent clients. Obviously, coming from a launch background, I love launches, I love everything else, but they're not always best suited for Facebook ads, because with a launch, you're doing something, kind of really, it's a really intense, short, compact campaign. And sometimes it's hard to scale your ads profitably in order to match the time. So what I like to do is have a consistent year-round lead generation strategy whereby you can effectively liquidate the cost of your ads up front. And it does another very, very important thing, because far too often I see people investing huge amounts of money building their list in advance of a launch, and maybe they've been building that list for 4 months, 3 months, 5 months, whatever it is, but they've built it, and then what happens is they get to a launch and suddenly find out they weren't the right fit prospects. Now, if you have a mini product that you can put in front of people early in play, one of the great benefits is you get immediate feedback on your, the people that you're adding to your list. Are these people who are going to go and spend money with you? So by having these mini products, it's absolutely essential. Then we look at maybe your next level 4. So now this could be where we get into our traditional, signature product. And we're probably only going to have one of these. But let's say this is a signature. This could be a front-end course. This could be a program. This could be a membership. So whatever it is in your business, this might be the main program. This is going to be somewhere, in around the flagship 1997 product, or maybe it's a membership. One of the challenges and one of the problems that I see facing a lot of businesses is this is where it ends, and this is where they end their business model. But the fact is, if you've got a course, if you've got a membership, I suppose it wasn't popularized by Perry Marshall, but definitely brought into marketing by Perry Marshall. He done a huge amount of work on 80-20 principles. And one of the spin-offs of that, which I find absolutely, so interesting, is the fact that at any stage, when you have any group of customers or any people who do any business with you, under Pareto's rule, when you assess and put the maths behind it, and not just that, but when people analyze their database, and when they make offers like this, 20% of anybody who spends any amount of money with you will be willing to spend 4 times that amount with you. Now, this is very, very interesting, because let's say we have somebody who spends $97 with you. Now, 4 times that is 497. And people often ask about, well, where did this whole theory of kind of pricing and price increases come from? And this actually is almost where it is. So there's equivalent. If we go from 497 and multiply that by 4, now we're getting very, very close over here to the 1997 range. So you can see that this pricing method, every time you go, and anytime anybody spends, or a group of people spend any money with you, 20% of those people will be willing and will actively want to spend 4 times the amount they've just spent with you. So one of the things that your Value Ascension Roadmap does is it gives them the methodology to do that. And obviously you can see things narrow in here. Things narrow in as we get to the top. So now up on our next level 5, on the level 5 we're going to be looking at here something like a mastermind. Or if we have a front end program, you might have a back end membership. If you have a membership, it might be group coaching, and probably more often than not, it actually will be a mastermind, or group coaching will probably go in here in level 5, and level 6 would probably be the higher level mastermind. So this is a very fluid and flexible model, but it's one thing that I think you have to start thinking about early in play, because realistically you always should be thinking, where is my perfect fit client going to end up? Now, for most people, your target area for your perfect fit client is not the very, very top level. It's probably going to be a level or 2 below that. So what you want to do is make sure that you have really thought out where you want the main body of your perfect fit clients to end up. So in the instance, in what I've just drawn out here, and lovely messy page here, most people, their perfect fit PFCs are going to live somewhere in here or in here. But one of the things that I think is so essential about your Value Ascension Roadmap is every time you talk, you should see the true line from your front end content through your lead magnet, through a mini product, into your signature product, and into your mastermind. And you should have all these threads that run through your content. This is your weekly, your daily, your monthly content, and you should always have in your mind what the next step for somebody is to take. So you talk about topic 1. So topic 1, you deliver a blog post, you deliver a video. You should know, okay, in my mind, the next step I want somebody to take is I want them to sign up for this lead magnet. I want them to sign up for the lead magnet because I want to get their email address, but also I want to move them forward on their journey, and I want to get them from where they are to the next step on the roadmap. Once they get the lead magnet, what's the next step for them? Well, the next step for them might be a little mini product. The next step, could be, there are lots of different options we can put there, but you have to be intentional about where you want these people to go. Okay, so that's mapping out your Value Ascension Roadmap. Now, the next thing that you need to do is start creating very clear distinctions between each level. And really what you want to do is at each level, you want to have very specific offers that are clear and that are distinguishable from the offers at the other levels. Now, for most people, the distinction between, the different levels, if you think about your Value Ascension Roadmap and the further down you go, at the lower levels, you're still providing the same transformation. It's just a thinner slice of the transformation at the lower levels. So when you start off with, kind of a free blog post, obviously, you're giving information and well, first of all, if you don't think there's any value to people out there, don't publish it, right? So you should be giving some value, and you should in some way be triggering some, even if it's slight, transformation in your audience. But it's a thin sliver of the transformation. And as you go up along the Value Ascension Roadmap, the sliver gets thicker and thicker and thicker in relation to the transformation that you're delivering. One of the ways you're going to do that is, it could be that they're going to get the same result but faster. It could be that they're going to get kind of a bigger result. It could be that they're going to actually start to implement and to make more progress through the knowledge, implementing the knowledge that they already have. At each level, you want to be very clear on what the offer for that level is. Why somebody should step up to it? Because really what you need to do even when it's almost like kind of a game of chess. You continuously need to be positioning people so that they're ready to step to the next level. And that even, 2 levels below, what they're going to do the step after next. So you should start to position them in terms of getting their mindset right, getting, what they're, the way they're lining up, the way they're thinking, the way they're, moving through the steps that you've laid out. Then the next thing is the milestones. So you should have clear milestones for people, that what they're going to do at each level, so that they themselves, first of all, understand how your business stacks up and where they fit into your business, and secondly, that they always have something to strive for. And if you can have milestones, are really a great way, of showing people, first of all, the progress that they can make, but secondly, it's also a great way of helping them look back and seeing the progress they've made. As an online business owner, our only mission in life is to help people make progress. And one of the best things that you can do for people is to show them the progress that they have made with you. Because sometimes if you don't help them discover that, and sometimes if you don't have things like milestones where they can see it, they might have made huge progress, but they might not necessarily feel it internally themselves. So that's step 2. So step 1 is map out our Value Ascension Roadmap. Step 2 is to create very clear distinctions, to have a very clear offer for each level, and then also to have the milestones that people can see. And that brings us on then to really the third aspect of this, which is, mapping all your content and marketing around your Value Ascension Roadmap. And I touched on this, kind of when we were mapping it out. But let's say I kind of think, and nearly every business that I talk to, you can identify 5 to 7 core topics that they deal with. If you don't know what they are, I would advise you to kind of sit down and to think about it, and really think about what those 5 to 7. Trust me, when you have clarity on this, it makes your content creation process all the easier, because now you can literally map out topic 1 week 1, topic 2 week 2, topic 3 week 3, and then when you break it down into that level, suddenly the year doesn't look as long, and suddenly doing something like creating 52 or 104 or kind of 156 videos doesn't actually seem all that much. It makes it an awful lot easier. But what it's also going to do is it's also going to concentrate, and it's also going to make sure that all of your content is moving people in the right way. Far too often people are not strategic with the content they create. They're far too focused on creating the content to think about what the content that they are delivering is going to do for their audience. So, step 1 here was map your value ascension road model. Step 2 was to create offers at each level. And step 3 was to then start looking back, taking your content and mapping your content to your value ascension model, so that you have a very, kind of tight, strategic, lined up approach to content. So wherever you're looking at this today, please like and share this video. Make sure to subscribe and like, profile, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Instagram, YouTube, for lots more content like this. And please do scroll down and leave me a comment. I promise I reply to each and every one personally. So, maybe let me know, how do you plan to create, or, do you have your very own Ascension roadmap for your perfect fit clients? How's it working out? Or, what have I triggered thoughts in this video? So thanks for listening, and see you soon.